Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Behind the Case. I'm data superhero Keith Belanger, and today I'm joined by Shankar Narayan from Microsoft. How you doing today?
Hey Keith, I'm good. Nice to
Good,
be
great.
here.
Great to have you. And I know we're all just coming back from Summit just a little while ago. And today I think you're here to talk to us about the integrations between Microsoft and Snowflake.
Yep, so we had a good summit this year around with a lot of the announcements and the joint partnerships. So just gonna be here covering some of the integrations, what is available, and just have a casual discussion around it.
Nice. I look forward to hearing about it. Let's go.
Yep. Can you switch over to the presentation mode?
Sure. Yeah, let me do that. Go ahead.
So, to give a brief introduction, I'm Shankar. I'm one of the principal architect at Microsoft. I'm also one of the Snowflake data superhero like Keith. I manage all our product integrations between Snowflake and Microsoft, as well as part of the team that supports customers that are both between Microsoft and Snowflake. Happy to do this presentation. And to quick things off, we're going to talk about the strategic partnership, what we announced at the summit. This was a huge announcement that Snowflake made right at the summit. And this talks about how Microsoft and Snowflake is going to come together for extending the partnership, as well as building better integrations between the product stack, what we have. And also, this is going to enhance the joint go-to-marketing strategies so our customers can leverage the vast ecosystem of Microsoft surrounding Snowflake so that they can use the platform Snowflake on Azure even better. And this has received a wide variety of media accolade as well as positive messaging from both Microsoft and Snowflake. There is also a YouTube video that was uploaded by Snowflake where our CEO, Mr. Satya, as well as Frank from Snowflake, is talking about the partnerships. Getting into a little bit into the weeds with the integration, if you look at this slide, Microsoft has a lot of product integrations that aligns well within the Snowflake workloads. We support different workloads like data engineering, data lake, data warehouse, data science, data applications, as well as data exchange. We have services like Azure Data Factory, Event Hub, and IoT Hub for doing data engineering processes. We have an extension of the Azure Data Lake and the Azure Blob to be used as an external stage for Data Lake. We support different integrations with Private Link and Purview for different data governance and data warehousing needs. And we have a native integrations with Azure Machine Learning and cognitive services for data science. And finally, we have Power BI and Power Platform connectors along with Azure Functions for the external function route for people who are developing data analytics and data application workloads. And all of these support different kinds of data sources, starting from real time as well as for batch workloads. And it supports different types of data consumers, be it data analysis, data application developers, as well as data users.
Nice. Very, very good. A quick question on these aspects. I know a lot of folks are using Azure, and so these Azure like solutions doesn't sound like they really have to do too much extra or special than to be working with Snowflake. Those things are now becoming inherited, built into the Azure services.
That is correct. All of these have a native integration. So the idea is to make sure that it's seamless and it supports out of the box with a native connected Snowflake. So customers can easily start leveraging these services with the data in Snowflake. So it doesn't take them a lot of heavy lifting to be able to get this working.
So a lot less having to build your own custom connections between the services. Nice.
Correct. And all of these as a stack with Microsoft works together very well. For example, Purview has an integration with Power BI as well. Power BI integrates with Azure Machine Learning. So when you think about it as an whole ecosystem, all of these services are part of the Microsoft data stack, and you have the different AI stack underneath that. So there is an interoperability and a built-in connections and patterns between these services. And now we are extending that to bringing Snowflake into the equation.
Nice.
So going on to the reference integration pattern, this is one of the common pattern that a lot of our customers use. If you look at it, Snowflake is embedded, Snowflake on Azure is embedded as part of the core architecture where we are using the data storage and the data compute from Snowflake. The whole architecture is divided into two portions. You have the top of the portion where you are bringing in the real-time data from your event hub and IoT apps that is then moved to the Snowflake streaming services. We also have our Stream Analytics, which does native stream processing within Microsoft Azure. All of this is integrated into Snowflake for real-time data ingestion using the classic Snowpipe streaming, all the new Snowpipe streaming with the Kafka connector. On the bottom, we have the Data Factory, which is our ELT tool or the data orchestration tool. Data Factory can connect to different data sources where you can pull in data natively from all of these sources into Snowflake and land it into the raw zone into Snowflake, where it can then be further transformed for the business use cases. On the right side, you have the Enrich section where you have the Azure Machine Learning Service, which has a native integration where you can deploy Snowpark models as well as do machine learning services and enhance all these capabilities with the Azure Cognitive Services stack that is part of the Microsoft AI. And for the serving and consumption, we have the Power BI or the Power Apps, where you have a native connector to Snowflake that supports both the direct query as well as the import mode. And underneath all of these is built on the secure Microsoft Azure cloud with the power of Azure Purview, which can be helpful for the data governance need. Purview can natively connect to Snowflake and scan different objects, build lineage and data catalog that will give you the entire 360 view of how your data is moving within Snowflake.
So any integration with the Azure DevOps?
It is. So with DevOps, you can use it with the external sources like dbt, where you can put those objects, or with the new Snowflake CLI, what has been released, that can support the repositories. And a lot of these customers run the pipeline to basically move those objects or move those dependencies of those objects between different environments.
Right. So if you as you start creating and developing your objects, migrating it through the dev, the QA production type of CI/CD.
Right, basically bringing in the data ops, which is what we normally used to do in the software engineering world. We are bringing that data ops into Snowflake with the help of Azure DevOps.
Nice. And then now being able to, I know I'm familiar with the DevOps in terms of putting the agile and putting in your tickets and managing that. So tying it all together.
Correct. And all of the DevOps also connects to all of these different services like your Azure Data Factory, your Azure Machine Learning models, and your Power BI objects. So when you look at it as a data operations, all of these fit in well with the data in Snowflake and what changes are made into Snowflake. And DevOps is the foundational layer for all of these.
Nice. Good.
Going on to the next one, if you look at it, the way that we are positioning the integration or building the connection is also utilizing to be having the ability to utilize the native services within Snowflake. This talks about the different services. For example, we spoke about Snowpipe streaming, which can be used for ingesting from the lake. You have the external tables and the external stage. You have the aggregation tasks and streams that could be used. We support Snowpark for doing all the feature engineering and the machine learning models pieces of it. And finally, the dimensional model is basically getting the data ready on top of which tools like Power BI and web apps can then consume from it. And all of these is governed by Purview, which can integrate with Snowflake. And Snowflake also supports integration with Azure AD as a security principle. So all of the security, like the roles and users and the single sign-on, can be governed by using the Azure AD.
Oh, very nice.
So deviating from a topic a little bit, these are some of the announcements what we made at the summit. These are the new product connectors and integrations what is available. The first major one is the connector with Azure Machine Learning. We announced at a session at Summit around the machine learning connector. This is a native connector that can have the ability to connect to Snowflake. So you can take the data from Snowflake, do your training, and then build those models, and also have the ability to deploy that back to Snowflake in the form of Snowpark. Azure Machine Learning also has a component called pipelines, where you can do data science pipelines on top of it. If you have a use case where you're doing retraining of data, or applying some kind of reinforcement, or doing certain data preparation before the model is executed, those things can be done by using the Python connector within the Azure Machine Learning pipeline. So along with the native connector, this also provides a notebook-based experience where customers can write their own code, collaborate between different Snowpark-based procedures, and use the Python connector for using the Snowpark data frame. This connector is now available to customers to start using it. And the business value for this is this extends the capability of what Snowflake has to offer in form of building a native integration. And you can use various features like the notebooks, the pipelines, as well as integrations with Data Factory and the ML Flow functionality to extend the ML ops capabilities and build in the whole AI ecosystem surrounding Snowflake.
So I have a question for you, Shankar.
Mhm.
If an organization has their Snowflake account on one of the other cloud providers,
Mhm.
can these services still be, if they're using Azure for their cloud services, but they happen to have Snowflake on AWS or GCP, can these services still be leveraged?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of customers who use our cloud for the Microsoft cloud for the data estate. All of these connectors does support Snowflake on other clouds as well, with certain limitations like the single sign-on or the private link connectivity that is very specific to Snowflake on
Right.
Azure customers. But the connector and the functionality works across all of the Snowflake clouds.
Great.
The next one that we're going to be talking about is the unified data governance with Purview. This connector is already in GA. We have a lot of customers using this connector. This has a native integration with Snowflake where it is able to scan the different objects and then pull in those artifacts from Snowflake into Purview. It automatically builds a searchable data catalog along with metadata and lineage support, where you can see how different objects in Snowflake and how your different data layers, starting from raw all the way to analytics and the business layer, are being transformed. And this also has some extended functionality where for a data steward or a chief data officer, this will give a single glass pane view where they can search different objects, look at what are the columns available for a table and extend those with the lineage information that is available out of the box. And this also supports scanning of different Snowflake objects that are native to Snowflake. This tool is widely used across a lot of our different customers because Purview also has an extension to Data Factory and some of the other data sources and data lake, including Power BI. So customers use this as an holistic view to make sure that they see right from the source all the way till the consumption layer with Snowflake in the middle.
Nice. It's always great to see the more the entire ecosystem that an organization might be using above and beyond their data platform, all being able to work harmoniously, with harmony together, right? Versus spending time to connect all of these different services. That's good.
Correct. And that's the power of the Azure data stack because all of these services are built on the common core principle that all of these are interconnected and it's easy for customers to start using it and it provides value right out of the box.
Nice.
The next one is one of our most anticipated connector, which is for Power Apps. Power BI connector is already was already available in Snowflake, and we have a lot of Power BI customers using Snowflake as a source. And this Power Apps connector extends that to both the Flow and Power Apps. This connector is in public preview that we announced at the summit. This supports the native connection to Snowflake, so customers can build a line of business apps and other mobile apps and low code, no code apps using the Power Apps platform with the data coming in from Snowflake, as well as they can use the Microsoft Flow, which is another component, Power Flow, which is another component of Power Platform, to move different data and to build an easy orchestration pipeline that supports the Power Apps. This connector is available for customers to start using it with Power Apps, and we have a lot of our large customers using it for different use cases. And as an organization, it enables them to think beyond just analytics as a means of serving medium and get into the scope of building apps and ML or data or intelligent apps right on top of the platform with Snowflake.
Yeah, and as many organizations are starting to build apps right directly on top of, that's one thing we did hear a lot about, right? Is doing connected apps and applications being built right on top of your data, in Snowflake. So yeah, I can see where this can be very powerful for organizations.
And a lot of these industries, like your financial industry or your healthcare, as well as your manufacturing, they leverage tools like this a lot for building different line of business apps or building apps that the field worker can start accessing from his mobile and get insights in seconds, or also giving the ability to do write back, right, where they can respond back to
Right.
the app and
That was
update.
going to be my next question. Yeah, being able, it's one thing to have these apps, but then be able to contribute back and write that data back into the pool of information that can be leveraged for your business. Right.
Correct. This connector is bidirectional, so basically you can read and write to Snowflake. So a lot of the write back scenarios are now possible with this Power Apps connector.
Great.
And the next one is the Azure OpenAI. We see already a lot of blogs. Even I contributed a couple of blogs, and we have from Snowflake publishing different integration mediums to the OpenAI. So customers can start to leverage the Azure OpenAI services to interact with those OpenAI APIs directly with the data in Snowflake. They can do it with a couple of different scenarios. For example, the machine learning connector, what we spoke about, can also have an integration to the OpenAI in sending out the APIs. You also have the new functionality that was announced at the summit, which is the Snowpark external access, and the existing one, which is the external function. And finally, Streamlit also has some of the components released for cases around the generative AI or the LLM. Those components can talk easily with Snowflake, as well as have an integration using a component called as LangChain to talk with OpenAI, where you can build different prompts and then get questions answered. A lot of the use cases revolve around summarizing the data, building an intelligent chatbot, getting data insights directly from the data by questioning it, and also you're building in intelligent apps by bringing in document intelligence and other use cases powered by the Azure OpenAI directly with data on top of Snowflake.
Great.
And this is a very interesting conversation that we have been having with a lot of customer and the buzz in general around the OpenAI and the Chat GPT.
Yeah, AI and is a very hot topic these days.
Yeah. And finally, I want to conclude by this messaging by our CEO. So the age of AI is upon us, and as a Microsoft, we are powering it with our AI stack. And with the extended partnership with Snowflake, it's going to be even better with Snowflake customers being having the ability to leverage the Microsoft data and AI stack and build a connected ecosystem with a wide variety of products that natively integrate to Snowflake. So the old ecosystem, the architecture remains as a single holistic approach with a built bottom up with security and integration in mind.
This is great. Yeah, I'm gonna switch back so people can see pretty faces
Yeah.
again. No, I think this is really great because it's from my perspective, and I spend a lot of time in my job helping organizations with a data strategy, and oftentimes I don't wanna say the tricky part, but the part that consumes a lot of time is taking these industry leading technologies and making them work together, right? Because people might want certain, hey, we want Snowflake, but we want to leverage this from Microsoft or whatever that might be, and then having to like, well, how do I bridge that gap? How do I make this solution work with that solution? And oftentimes you can do things with APIs or custom coding, but that adds weeks, months, dollars, right, to putting a little bit of harmony in your overall ecosystem. And I think as you start to see, like what you guys are doing at Microsoft, you know, say, hey, Snowflake is a great product. Let's integrate with them, and that I think also makes people say, well, maybe Microsoft cloud services are a good option for us for an entire ecosystem. So I find that very, like I said, very helpful from trying to help organizations put in an overall end-to-end data solution, right? Because the database is one thing, right, and what it can do there, but as you're well aware of, you got to get the data from the sources. There's a variety of sources that are out there. You got to transform that data, clean the data, test the data, to deploy structures. There's a lot, right, that goes into delivering a data solution. So the more things work together, right? I think you don't want to go to a leadership at an organization and say, yeah, you got Snowflake, but now we're going to need another 6 months to you know make all these parts work together.
And the key initiative here is to make sure that the connectors are native and developed in the best way, so that, like you mentioned, customers can start when they get Snowflake, they can start moving the data, deploy different workloads that are supported, and we align well with the different workloads that Snowflake supports in general. All of our product integration fit into those categories. So the moment you move the data, then you build models and you create data models on it. Then you can start using advanced use cases like your machine learning. You have a governance layer that you can connect to get all the governance information right from the start, and you have the consumption layer where it could not just be just analytics or reports with Power BI, but now intelligent apps and other things that are
Right.
extending beyond the organization scope. So all of
And
these come together as a single platform in general.
Yeah, and if an organization's, I've seen this, they've been say maybe been using Microsoft and Azure Data Factory and other solutions over years, and now we're just going to Snowflake. You don't have to throw all that stuff that you've done away, right? Is you
Correct.
can just say, oh, instead of me writing it to this database, I'm now gonna, process it to Snowflake. So people don't want to hear, oh, we got to throw all that stuff away, right? It's great to sit there and say, no, you're maturing in or you're growing into Snowflake, but let's still leverage, those ETL jobs or whatever it is that you might have built, to still transform that data. So
That is
this
correct.
this is
So that's
yeah,
the objective, and a lot of our customers are in that journey where they use the variety of services that is available. And as part of the new partnership, we are continuing to support those customers and the new ones that are coming in to make sure that the integration is as seamless as possible for customers to get started from day one and start utilizing the services what they purchased for.
great. Right. So if people are interested in hearing more, Shankar, where could they go?
So I'm going to put a bunch of links here. We have a good set of quick starts for almost all of these different services. We have a quick start for Power Platform, for Azure Machine Learning. I also blog a lot on our Snowflake Medium sites on all of these new integrations and how the patterns work. So in general, there's a lot of different sources of information available for users to start leveraging it. And if they have not signed up for Azure, there is a good trial that they can easily get started with both Snowflake and Azure, so they can get hands-on with some of these new connectors. And for those who are existing using it, it's just a click and deploy model where all of these connectors are available native by default, so they can start using it and trying out how it works.
Great. And as Shankar said, we'll get all those links and all that information. We'll post them in the comments below. So again, hopefully people are following all of our stuff. Shankar, thanks for joining us today. This was great, very informative for myself, and I'm sure it was for others. So again, we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Keith and Snowflake, for this opportunity. And again, please feel free to, if those folks who are watching and they have some questions, they can always connect with me on LinkedIn and then hit me up there. So I'm happy for this opportunity, and it was great catching up with you, Keith.
Yes, great. And everybody, we thank you for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you all in our next episode. Thanks, everybody. Bye.